Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance. Now, it's time to welcome two serial entrepreneurs, leaders, husbands, and fathers who are passionate about sharing the strategies that are helping them excel in life and in business. Here are Mauricio Garcia and Hubert Humphrey.
All right, we are live. Hubert, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Mauricio. Good to be with you.
Awesome. We're just making sure that our sound is good. We are finally live here. And, you know, the topic that we have today is probably one of the most important ones we've had to this date. And that's because habits really are, whatever habits we have, right, is the result that we're getting today. So I want to talk about that because if we change our habits, it means we can get different results. And I don't know if you've made a note or if you kept track. Maybe not. I don't know if anybody does that. But what is for sure is that in order to be able to be a new person, to get new results, you need to adapt new habits, learn new habits. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, it's the hardest thing in the world to do. And habits, as you were saying, we're creatures of habits, and most of our habits are developed in the circumstances that we've grown up from birth and childhood in our family and just in who we hang around with and what kind of careers we pursue. We sort of get our habits get developed because of not in a proactive way where we're trying to have habits of excellence. We're just sort of having habits that are forced upon us by our circumstances in life, and we are who we are out there. So what we've got to do is we've got to offset that in a big way. There's a wonderful little saying that goes like this. It says, "You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit." And it gives a little formula. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, and you reap a character. And sow a character, you reap a destiny. So there's a process by which you can go through changing your habits. It's not easy, and you need somebody to help you. You need a system to help you. You need things to help you change habits. Very few of us can change habits by ourselves. I just don't see anybody that ever really does that well. We need help in changing habits.
Right. I think one of the things that could be helpful to people is understand that you're not going to go out there and maybe try to attempt in changing every single bad habit all at once. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just think that maybe you ought to start simple. Maybe pick one thing, right? Like small thing. I don't know. Just what came to mind is I was beginning to gain a lot of weight. And one of the habits is I always drank. I am a coffee drinker. And I would put sugar on the coffee, right? Well, just kind of eliminate that. I'm not saying I'm stopped the coffee, but, little things like that. And it's probably one sort of a habit. I had stopped working out. And I said, well, maybe I could do just, 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Just make that as a priority. And then it just becomes a habit. And just like those two things, they compound on a bunch of other habits that you can create or change. And I don't know if you remember, how did you went about changing maybe a bad habit or how to adapt a new habit that was crucial to be successful in business?
Well, because obviously there's habits. There are just a lot of times habits just in your personal life that affect your health. Like you said, they affect your spirituality. They affect your family life. All kind of bad habits or good habits. Those are all important, and they all need to be modified. But business habits, for people that have never been in business, if you've been an employee mentality, a more technician mentality oriented person, you've got a bunch of habits that you get paid hourly wages for, and those habits have to be changed and upgraded if you're going to be an entrepreneur, because not that you do away with them, you just got to improve upon them. You've got to be able to. In fact, a lot of the things that you were doing for your job for a salary, you've got to learn down the road to have a team around you that's delegated that out, and you're up here working on your business, not in your business. So you got to develop new habits in the business as you go. And one thing I'll say is you can't wait till all your habits are straightened out before you get started.
Right.
You can't if you're waiting on everything in your life to be perfect before you make the next big push or the next surge or go after the next big goal in your life, don't do that. You are what you are right this moment, and the only thing you got is now, and just go at it right now and work on those things as you go. And a lot of times it's in the pursuit of these higher goals and the course corrections that you have to make that the new, better habits get refined in you as you go. It's always by the doing, not just by the knowing or the talking about it.
Absolutely.
It's the doing of it. It's the doing of it.
Absolutely. One of the things that helped me is identifying that my brain always likes pleasure. It always likes to do the things that that feels comfortable. And if you just learn to go opposite, like let's say you want to have I don't know, sweet bread or just anything that is sugary, or you want to watch TV, you want to watch a series or whatever. That's your brain is basically taking you into this place, which is comfortable for the brain because it's a habit you already have. So it's just identify it and go opposite. Kind of don't get beat up by your brain, but beat it by going opposite. Just identifying that. Kind of like when we had that podcast about controlling your feelings, like identify them and try to. It's hard, but understand that you have to be that thermostat. Same thing with your brain, because your brain is always, I think every human being suffers from this. That's the nature of it, is your brain is going to look for this comfy space, this comfy place where it likes to be. And if you go opposite consistently, then you begin to develop these new habits. And yes, it's pain, but pain equals progress. So it's just, for me, it's kind of it's a way that's helped me, basically.
Well, it is. I mean, obviously, if you're slowing down and you're comfortable or you're accepting mediocrity, you immediately need to flee from it. You've got to go in the other direction. So that's great advice for people to do that and everything. And you got to, what you got to do is start rescheduling your sort of your DOM, your daily method of operation. Your DMO, I should say, your daily method of operation, and what is your routine? Change the routine. It's those slight little things that are going to make the difference. And what's that old saying? By the yard it's hard, but by the inch it's a cinch. You got to do it. And even if sometimes you have a relapse or you fall back a little bit, don't beat yourself up too bad. Just kind of when you realize that you're digressing, that if you got your attitude right, it's going to make you mad. It's going to make you feel mad at yourself that you kind of allowed yourself to slack off, and take that energy and rebound and go back forward again with a vengeance. And the other thing that if you develop a habit of doing is that if you come up short on something you've set for the week or for the month, don't just write it off. Make sure that you got to go and you got to balance the books of life. Success has got a set of books, and you're going to have to go and make up for that which you slipped back with your old habits and didn't get done. And you have to, and when you start seeing, man, that's a pretty good debit piling up there that I've got to go pay that price just to get back even. It'll kind of control you. It'll make you keep your habits more stable than lapsing back.
Well, as I hear you speak, two things came to mind. I used to smoke back in the day, and the reason I quit smoking is because of the business I got into. In other words, if you're in sales, right, and you're going to be, with people, that anybody who's ever smoked in their lives can tell you once they stop smoking, then they understand just how strong the smell of cigarettes can be. And so that was hurting my business. I knew it was hurting my business. And so, about 15 years or so, 18 years ago, I completely stopped smoking because it was a way for me to find, to be more successful with my clients. They don't like to come in here and smell me, smell the smoke. And another thing, probably the biggest secret I could say, is the association with role models. Like if you associate with people that are having success, well, they have certain habits that, whether you like it or not, if you hang around them long enough, you're going to begin to adopt those habits. You're going to be modeling them, and that's really going to help you. By the time you wake up 6 months, a year later, you've now adapted because you're trying to model those successful people. And so associating with higher minds can really help in changing up a habit, and that result is you achieving success. Personal experience.
You mentioned about you mentioned about smoking. See, one of the real keys to being successful, in my opinion, starts at the internal personal level. If you can control your appetites, mm-hmm. and there's a lot of appetites we've got. We got appetites for food. We got appetites for cigarettes. We got appetites for alcohol. We got appetites for drugs. There's all kind of appetites you can have. If you can control your appetites and your personal desires, if you can get a handle on that in life, it liberates you. It empowers you. You can conquer the world if you can conquer yourself. That's why Cicero, the great Greek philosopher, said control thyself. Meaning, what he went on to say was, if you can control yourself, you can control the world. If you can conquer yourself, you can conquer the world. And you mentioned smoking. Many years ago, when I knew better than to smoke. I'd been brought up that smoking was bad for you, and I hung around wrong people as a teenager there when I was 16, 17, 18. Next thing you know, I'm smoking. Then I'm out. Then I go off to college and smoking, and then I end up on a part-time job on the railroad. Ends up being a career, and out there they are smoking, and so I'm out there smoking for 6 or 7 years, and I just knew I had to stop it. One, for my health, I had to stop it. I felt bad. My sinuses were always messed up. Plus, I had children. I knew that wasn't good for these kids, mm-hmm. and it just and my wife was smoking too. And I heard one of the business people that I had been associated with was telling me about how they had quit smoking and said that when it made me realize that the cigarette was my new taskmaster, was my slave master. I was enslaved to this little cigarette. So I picked up a cigarette and I looked at it and I said, I can't believe this cigarette. It's bossing me around. It's controlling my life.
Exactly.
I can't do that. And so what I did one day, I just made up my mind, because there's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind. So I made up my mind that I wouldn't. A guy told me one day, he said, Hubert, you're not. I told him I was smoking cigarettes. He said, Hubert, you're not the smoker. You're the sucker. The cigarette's the smoker.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, oh, so that hit me in the head. But I took a pack of cigarettes one day and told Norma. I said, Norma, as of this moment, I will never smoke another cigarette. I mean, I had it didn't just happen one day. It had built up into me that this was my defining moment. I just knew it was now or never. And I crushed that pack of cigarettes and told her I was going to stop. And she said, well, I'm not stopping, because you know how they are. If she thinks I'm going to stop, that's going to make her stop. She said, no, I'm not stopping. So I said, fine. And I never smoked. She watched me a day or two or three and realized that I was through smoking. In fact, this very rarely ever happens to people. But I made up my mind so strongly that I never had an urge to smoke a cigarette mm-hmm. after that day ever again. Usually you kind of have a lapse or something. I have never. I'm repulsed by cigarette smoke. You know, and I couldn't even believe that Norma would want to kiss me with cigarette breath. I mean, I think she'd probably rather pick up an ashtray and kiss it than to kiss me.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Smell like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I remember, I've tried to stop smoking before, but I wasn't so maybe committed to that. But it was one moment when I said, "This is it." I've never even craved it after that. I think, the first times I tried to stop, I would crave it. So it's that temptation, and so I think the one important message here is that if we are able to remove temptation, if we are able to control that, then what we can accomplish is limitless, because now we can say no. We've trained our brain to understand that we're the boss, that we're not going to be bossed around, because it's not necessarily the cigarette or the cakes at nights or whatever that bad habit that are out there, these temptations that we're talking about. But it's your ability to say no, to remove temptation. That gives you a lot of power, right? Because and I think that is the one thing that is bossing people around for the most part is temptation. Let me watch a 10-series Netflix deal here, consuming dozens and dozens and dozens of hours, just to give an example.
Right. We need to take any of those pleasures that we want to have. That doesn't mean we're going to be monks that are living in an abbey somewhere and never going to have a worldly pleasure ever again. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if you have something you really like to do, that ought to be a reward. Use the reward and punishment system. Lay out your goals and your plans, and especially as you're starting out in life as an entrepreneur, you can't just go cold turkey sometimes. If there's something you want to do, hit the goals. And when you've hit the goals, reward yourself with that thing you like to do. Have a date night, or go if it's to go play golf or something. But do it as a reward for having done excellence and hitting your goal and staying on your plan. And if you haven't, you got to punish yourself that week. I don't get to play golf. I don't get to go to the movie with my wife. I don't get to do this. I don't get to do that because I've got to go make up what I didn't do. If you can get into that reward and punishment cycle early in your life, it builds some great success characters and habits in your life that will straighten you out along the way. But getting back to that, controlling your if you can control your appetites, your desires, and then you can control your time. If you get those three things ever in sequence where you're pretty good at it, you can accomplish anything. You can control anything and conquer anything in life that you want it to be. You can be anybody, any place, it can be anything you want to be in life if you can just learn to control those things, because you're going to be tempted. You're going to be tempted by other people that are. Or there's other people, they're taking a vacation or something. Or this guy's doing this or doing that. Well, but they're not pursuing the goals you're pursuing. They're not going to get the rewards you're going to be getting. You got to remind yourself and keep yourself on the big picture out there with these habits. And habits are great things. They're designed to, if you're doing the right kind of habits, they're designed to bring happiness in every phase of your life and success in every phase of your life. And it's how many habits you have. You're either going to have the magic of compound doing the right thing or the magic of compound doing the wrong thing, based upon what habits you're locked into.
Yeah. Everything compounds, right? And if you're having all these bad habits, well, you're going to compound a result that is probably not what you are dreaming about. If you one of those, we always say, driven, determined dreamers, you are looking to better your life in many different ways. Not just financially, but I would say just realizing and understanding that if you're not getting the results that you want right now, it's maybe because you're being bossed around by these temptations, and identifying them and removing them by whichever way you can, whether starting small, staying consistent, modeling, role models, reverse engineering what they're doing, those things, staying at it every single day will yield positive results. And I can tell you that by personal experience. If you knew my history, where I came from, and I think I've come a long way. Still a lot to go, but it's been those things that have really saved me from a road of destruction, honestly, that I was on, in my younger years.
And if everybody's honest with themselves, they all know that there are little forks in the road that are always there, and we're going. Our destiny is determined by which of those little forks we always go down, and our habits are going to be the ones that determine which way we go every time. And but you mentioned something about role models. To me, leadership is everything. Find a leader, become a leader that you can go and save other people. People who don't have enough success habits, let them borrow the power of your habits. And let them borrow, just like they borrow your knowledge, they borrow your experience, they borrow your confidence, they borrow your belief in them, they borrow the vision that you can see further than they can. They're borrowing all that because you're their leader. Well, if you've got good, strong success habits, that's going to have more influence on them than anything else to modify them. Because if they really want to be around you and they really want to follow you, and to have the success that they can have, they're going to know that it's not you that's going to hold them accountable. It's success is going to hold them accountable. Success says we can't get to where we want to be with all this bad baggage of bad habits. We've got to adjust and got to change it. So they'll know that, and they'll change out there. And a lot of times, do what I call possibility projections, which is a leader just in a sense imposing or putting out a bunch of possible, letting them know what's possible, helping them to set the right kind of goals in their life that will change. To me, if you don't have any goals, there's no way you're going to change any habit. A habit is only changed when there's a new goal that you want to proceed or you want to achieve, and you got to change the way you're doing things. So that's all. It's all tied together right there, and I just know that imperfect people can do some, while they're still imperfect, they don't have the habit of the right business plan. They don't have they don't have a lot of things straightened out. If they'll just take massive action, all of it'll change about them. And sometimes people don't change until there's a deep emotional conversion. They've got to they got to experience something emotionally in life before they can change. That's why we do great events and do leadership does a lot of teaching moments and recognition to cause people to change how they feel about things and go through a metamorphosis,
Yeah, once you made up your mind to do something, to accomplish something, to create something, to go someplace, then you will develop. You will find the motivation, and you have to become somebody that you are not today. And to become someone that you are not, in order to be who you need to be, that will enable you to reach what you're trying to reach, then it means habits will inevitably have to change. You have to adapt new habits. So we'll leave it at that, Hubert. I think it's a great podcast. Hopefully people got the value of it. But I do want to remind everybody that if you are in a situation right now where you need to change the habits and you need to adapt the new paradigms and you need to make more money, because, I think that when we have access to more capital, we can actually create so many different things. And you've got to have the right vehicle to be able to do that. Now, there's a lot of opportunities out there for sure, but there are levels in opportunities. And if you want to know what the best opportunity in the world today is, I invite you to go check out what Hegemon Group International has to offer. To hear a full presentation about what they are doing to help you elevate your value in the marketplace and really deliver solutions to people that pay you very handsomely in return. Well, that is the HCI opportunity. So go to hciopportunity.com. Again, that is hciopportunity.com. Check out what they have for you, and then you can let us know. Once you look at it and compare to other opportunities that you might have experienced, or even compared to the side hustle you may have right now. Go there now, heiopportunity.com. And if you're listening or watching us on Facebook, make sure to like, comment, and share. And if you are listening on any of the podcast platforms, make sure to share so that other people that are looking to excel, that other driven, determined dreamers out there can find this podcast and get the secrets, get the strategies that are going to help them go from where they are today to where they want to go. With that being said, Hubert, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for listening in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow.
See you later.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.